Hello and welcome. If you clicked on this video, you're most likely wanting to learn headstand or Shasasana. This sequence will help you warm up your body and prepare for the balancing pose at the end of the class. Let's begin in child's pose at the end of your mat, bringing your big toes to touch and your knees as wide as the mat. And walk your hands forward, letting your chest and forehead melt to the ground. Find your own deep, nourishing breathing rhythm that you can sustain throughout the class. Take a few rounds of breath, allowing yourself to become present within your body. On your next inhale, walk both of your hands over to the left side of your mat, finding a gentle right body stretch. Inhale to slightly lift your head and chest, and exhale, walk it over to the right, stretching out the left body. Deep breath in, come back to center before coming up to tabletop, knees under hips, hands under shoulders. Start to wake up the spine by taking a few rounds of cat and cow. On your exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the chin. Inhale, looking up, opening the heart space, and moving however your body needs today. Really take the time to create space between each vertebrae in your spine, making waves with your body, maybe moving back and forth towards your feet and over your shoulders. Making our way into the first chaturanga, walk your hands a couple inches forward, bringing your chest and chin down to the ground. Inhale, upward dog. On your exhale, send your hips high for downward facing dog, bending into one knee and then the other, making sure that your hands are shoulder width apart. Come into a high plank. Inhale and exhale. Holding strong, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog one more time. Bend it out, move however you need here. Inhale, right leg goes high, bend into your knee. And on an exhale, flip your dog, bringing the right foot down to the ground. Push your hips high, open your heart. Inhale it back up to your three-legged dog. Exhale, chaturanga, come to the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Deep inhale and exhale. Inhale, left leg comes up. Exhale, flip your dog, wild thing. And inhale, come back to that three-legged dog and take a chaturanga. You can always modify chaturanga by bringing your knees to the ground. Meeting back in downward facing dog, notice your breathing. Step or walk your way to the top of the mat and we'll take a ragdoll fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, nose to knees. And inhale, roll all the way up to Tadasana. The camera didn't quite catch my entire pose here, but we're just doing a side body stretch. So inhale your arms up overhead, reaching over to the right and reaching over to the left. Inhale, reaching up high, and exhale, squeeze your glutes, back bend as if you're trying to look at the wall behind you, and then fold forward and make your way to a high plank. Inhaling, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg high. Before stepping it in between your hands, find your balance, come up to a high lunge, bend deep into that right leg. Lift your arms up overhead, open up the heart. Interlace your hands behind you, pulling your shoulders open. Maybe lift your gaze, squeeze the inner thighs and core. On your exhale, come back into a plank. Chaturanga. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. Deep inhale, bend it out, and exhale. On your inhale, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Lift the left leg. Exhale, step it between your hands, find your balance. Raise your arms up overhead, high lunge. Squeeze your core, find your balance, and interlace your hands behind you, opening up your heart. Plant your hands back on the ground. Step it back to downward facing dog. And we'll take a child's pose, bringing your knees as wide as the mat or however you would like. Steady your breath and focus your energy. On an inhale, lift up to tabletop and make your way into high plank. Squeeze your core, but don't forget to breathe deeply. Inhale and exhale. Shift your weight onto your right hand and we'll come into a side plank. Feel free to modify by coming onto your elbows here if you need. Come back to regular plank and we'll switch to the left side. Inhale and exhale, come back to plank. Lower onto your elbows like you're coming to a forearm plank, but then walk your feet a little bit in to come into dolphin, sending your hips high. Open your heart, deep breath in, and exhale. Come back into plank and you can lower down into Sphinx, lifting your heart and your gaze. And we'll come back into dolphin one more time, sending hips high, walking your toes in a few inches. Let it go as you drop your knees to the ground. Slowly roll yourself up to sit on your heels. Roll out your shoulders. Deep inhale and exhale. Come back into tabletop and we'll find our puppy stretch, keeping the knees directly under the hips. Walk your hands towards the top of your mat, letting your heart melt and your forehead can rest on your mat. Keep the lower belly engaged so we're not collapsing our lower back, and press into your hands to feel your shoulders open even more. Carefully make your way out of it. Come to cross your legs and roll down onto your back, lying flat on the ground. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Hugging everything in, we'll take a happy baby variation here, squeezing your knees towards your armpits, and you can grab onto the outsides of your feet or your big toes, whatever feels good for you here. Release and straighten both your legs. We're going to continue activating our core by doing some opposing toe touches. So lift your left leg, tap your toes with your right hand. Lift your right leg, tap your toes with your right hand or left hand. Inhale, legs to the ground. Exhale, tap your toes. Inhale out, exhale in. And let it go. Take a moment of rest. Bring your hands slightly under your butt cheeks and hover your legs above the ground, and we'll do some basic leg raises here. Lowering your legs down to the ground as far as you can. Engage your lower abs here and breathe. 3 more to go. You got this. Ab workouts are much more effective when you move slowly and with control. Let's switch into our bicycles right away, bringing opposite knee to opposite elbow. Slow and controlled. Okay, let it go. Drop your feet to the ground. Bring your arms down by your side and make sure your fingertips can touch your ankles, and lift your hips high for bridge pose. Squeeze your glutes and your inner thighs together. Interlacing your hands underneath of you, pull your shoulders away from your ears and squeeze here. Very slowly come out of it, rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae from the top. And we'll come to rock ourselves up to seated. Make your way into a plank, and we're going to do some scapula push-ups to warm up our shoulders. So if you watch me, it's not a full push-up, it's like a push-up, but for your scapulas. We'll do a few more of these. Really feel it in your shoulders and activate your core. Go ahead and drop your knees here, or if you'd like, you can do full regular push-ups, but I am a girly girl, so we only do knee push-ups around here. We'll do about 5 more of these. On your last one, lower all the way down to your belly. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Pedal out your feet. Bend into your knees, or just find stillness here, whatever your body is feeling. Drop your knees and you can sit on your heels in a kneeling position. We should be ready and warmed up for headstand. So to start, we're going to find the top of our head. Place your palm at the bridge of your nose, and then wherever your middle finger lands is going to be the top point of your head, and you want to be putting this point directly on the mat to protect your neck. Setting up our arms, bring both your elbows down to the mat, and a good way to measure the distance between arms is to grab opposite elbows, and then from there clasping your hands in front of you, creating a little space for your head to go. Place the top part of your head right behind your hands and press into your shoulders to keep most of the weight out of your head. Engage your core and start to walk your feet towards your face to practice getting your hips up over your shoulders. We're usually not used to this on a daily basis, so just practice doing this a few times, coming into low plank or dolphin, and then walking your hips back up, trying to get your hips directly over your shoulders as much as you can. This will make it much easier to start floating. Walk your hips up directly over your shoulders and practice lifting one foot towards your glute at a time. And we'll take a child's pose, letting our blood come back to the rest of our body. Inhale and exhale. And whenever you're ready, come back into it and we'll try it again. So setting yourself up with the tripod of arms, bringing the top of your head down to the mat, and lifting your hips high, engaging your core, engaging your shoulders. Think of pushing your shoulders away from the ground, walking up. And this time, if you feel like it, you can lift one foot up and then the other. Engage your core and hold it here. And then bring it back down, and we'll take another child's pose. It's important to rest a lot during these inversion poses. Deep inhale. As you exhale, roll up to kneeling, and we will come into it one more time. This time setting up as we always do, lifting up, engage your core, find your balance. I find that the more I walk my feet in towards me, the easier it is to lift them up off the ground. And if you feel steady here, feel free to explore by slowly raising your knees higher and then straightening your legs. Squeeze your abs and continue to press out of your shoulders. And if you want to continue practicing here, if this is fun or something new to you, feel free to pause the video and take your time with it. Otherwise, come into child's pose, slow your breathing, feel the blood rushing back into the rest of your body as you come back up into seated. We'll take a few breaths here as we roll out our shoulders, taking the time to feel the effects of our practice. Roll out your neck, letting your chin come to your chest and ear to shoulder. Switching directions. Hover your right hand over the ground beside you and let your left ear fall towards your left shoulder. Come back up to center and do the same thing on the other side. Come back up to center. Make your way into a comfortable seated position or shavasana, whichever will serve you better today. And take a moment to notice how you're feeling and become aware of your breathing pattern. Come back into your body. Deep inhale. And exhale out your mouth. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Let me know in the comments how this went for you and your experiences. And we'll see you next time. Namaste.